You're good to go.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome you to the May 14th Records and Public Safety, as well as Government Oversight Committee meetings. First item on the agenda is call to order. Second is the Pledge of Allegiance. I will go ahead and perform the pledge looking at a flag I have here. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Okay, next item on is the adoption of today's agenda. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda, Commissioner Romano.
Okay, Commissioner Romano, is there any support?
Support.
I move to amend the agenda.
Okay, all right.
This is Joel.
All right, let me do it like this. I've got a motion to adopt and support, but I also got a motion to amend. Is there any support for the motion to amend the agenda?
Commissioner Leonetti, what we should probably do is just give Commissioner Drolet a chance to talk about how he wants to amend the agenda quickly, so that way he can find out if he has the support.
Okay. Commissioner Drolet, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to remove item 7A regarding the Second Amendment, just because I don't know that we want to table the previously tabled Kraft amendment, or rather resolution, and then adopt another resolution dealing with the Second Amendment, because I think the optics of it are bad. I think we should either have them both on or have neither on. So I think just to make things cleaner, just to have neither on is probably most appropriate.
Well, that's technically on Commissioner Brown's committee, but I'll handle it. Okay, so we have a support from the amendment. Who's that from?
Don Brown.
Okay, so support by Don Brown. All right, let's first vote to see if we're going to amend the agenda. If you're going to vote, you're going to vote yes to amend the agenda to remove item number 7A. This would be a yes vote.
So just to be clear, Commissioner Leonetti, I did cancel the previous vote. We are now starting a brand new vote that commissioners should see, and this would be on the amendment that Commissioner Drolet has offered that Commissioner Brown has seconded.
Okay, everybody understand? Go ahead and decide if you want to adopt, if you want to amend this agenda and remove that item. You vote yes. If you don't, you vote no.
And we're just waiting for those votes to come in, Commissioner Leonetti.
Okay.
Or Chair Leonetti.
Yeah.
Commissioner Kleinfeld, if you're on the line and are having trouble voting, just let us know. That's the only vote that I have not recorded just yet.
Okay, I had to leave and rejoin the meeting because it was silent. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if Commissioner Drolet made an agenda, so I'll just abstain.
Commissioner Kleinfeld, actually, we can bring you up to speed and you can vote verbally if you'd like, but there has been a motion to adopt the agenda. Then there was a motion to amend the agenda to remove an item, which would be the Second Amendment item that is on the agenda. And if you vote yes, that would be to remove the agenda item, and to vote no would be to keep the agenda item remaining on the agenda.
All right, thank you.
Would you like to vote yes or no verbally?
Oh, I just cast the vote. I voted no.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That vote, actually, Commissioner Leonetti, is tied 6-6.
Okay. So it fails.
The motion fails.
The motion fails.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
We still need to vote on the motion to approve the agenda.
Yep. Okay. With that amendment failing, I'm looking for a motion to adopt this agenda. I believe
that motion was made, Commissioner Leonetti, Chair Leonetti, by Romano.
Yes, it was, and I believe it was supported by Carabelli. So go ahead, and you still support it, right, Jim? Jim?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then let's vote to adopt the agenda.
Commissioner, the motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Drolet voting no.
Okay. We're going to move on now to item number 4, which is public participation. This is related to items that are only on this agenda. It relates to both records and public safety and government oversight. So if anybody first that's on the telephone wants to make a 5-minute statement about items that are on this agenda, go ahead and announce yourself, and we'll try to get you going, okay? Anybody on the telephone want to participate with some statements regarding items on the agenda? If you do, shout out. Anybody on the phone? Okay. Gonna go once, twice.
Mr. Chair, you might want to let them know they have to push *6 to unmute
That's right.
themselves.
Yeah, the technical stuff. Thank you, Commissioner Drollet. If you do want to speak and you're out there in telephone land, you got to press star. What was it again, Leon? 6.
Just
9?
star, Commissioner. Yep.
Yep. Okay. If you're out there in telephone land and you want to talk, press that, and we'll get you talking. Okay. Going once, going twice. Okay. Now for the folks that are in this app, if you have a statement you want to make, you should be queued up and ready to talk. So if anybody that's on this app through video would like to participate in public participation, step forward or unmute yourself and start talking.
My name is Carmi Finn.
Okay.
Go ahead. Let's let Pam Lideline go first. I'm sorry. I'll back off.
Okay, Pam, we're going to let you go first. If you could just state your name and the city you live in, and go ahead. You got 5 minutes.
Okay. My name is Pam Lideline. I live in Macomb Township. I'm speaking to support the proclamation of declaring the first Friday in June as Gun Violence Awareness Day in Macomb County. This National Gun Violence Awareness Day is also called Wear Orange Day. Wear Orange Day was initiated by Friends of Hadia Pendleton, a 15-year-old honor student from Chicago who was killed a week after she and her classmates performed at President Obama's second inauguration. Orange was chosen since it is bright and a color that hunters use to stand out so they won't be shot. I spoke to this board last year and shared the story of my daughter, Michelle Packard, who was also an innocent victim after being struck and killed by a stray bullet in Lansing on July 4th, 2012. As her fiance and she waited in a park for a fireworks display to begin. I think of her every day. I ask that you think of her on June 5th by wearing orange. More than 100 people are killed every day by guns in the United States. Twice that number are wounded. Gun deaths take many forms, including suicides, unintentional shootings, and homicides. It's now the leading cause of death for American children and teens. Here are just a few of the stories that have been in the news in the last week. An 8-year-old Indiana boy was killed in the home by a stray bullet. A jogger in Georgia was shot and killed. A truck driver in Michigan was shot at 3 times as he changed lanes on the expressway. A 7-year-old child was shot in Detroit. A driver was shot as he drove on the Southfield Freeway. A 21-year-old was shot and killed during a domestic incident in Shelby Township. A security guard was shot and killed at a Family Dollar in Flint in a dispute over the mail. 2 men were shot and killed in Kentwood, Michigan. This is still under investigation. An argument among roommates in Kalamazoo resulted in shots fired. Gun Violence Awareness Day is just about that, bringing awareness to the number of incidents of gun violence that occur every day. Many do not even make the news. I thank you for your support of this proclamation in 2019 and ask for the same this year. Remember to wear orange on June 5th to honor the victims and survivors of gun violence in our county, our state, and our country. Thank you.
Okay, all right, if I go next. Okay, my name is Carmi Finn, and I am speaking in support of the resolution to proclaim June 5th National Gun Violence Awareness Day as well. I can't add a lot to what Pam said. What she said is eloquent and speaks straight to the issue. But I will just say that this is strictly nonpartisan. I don't think there's anyone who's in favor of gun violence deaths. And I don't think anyone can possibly object to honoring those victims and those that survive, either gunshots themselves and were injured and are now living with that, or people like Pam who are living with the aftermath of the death of a loved one through gun violence. It's simply a day to reflect and be aware of the extent of this problem in our country, in our state, and in our community. I would only add that in Michigan, in an average year, 1,187 people die by guns, with the rate of 11.8 deaths per 100,000 citizens. Michigan has the 30th highest rate of gun deaths in the US. So it's a pervasive problem all over the country. It is pervasive in Michigan. It is pervasive in Macomb County. And we would like to help for our people to know this, to be aware of it, because awareness is the first step towards a solution. I hope you will proclaim June 5th Gun Violence Awareness Day, and also wear orange in solidarity and honor of those victims. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Commissioner Leonetti, I think you need to unmute yourself. You might have.
Yeah, I did. Okay. Nothing like watching me try to talk to myself. Any event, anybody else want to participate, please do what I just did and unmute yourself. This again is for any item that's on the agenda. Anybody else out there on the app that would like to participate, please unmute yourself and we'll get you going. All right, going once, going twice. Going to close public participation. Going to move on now to item number 5A, which is a budget amendment, a capital improvement fund for surveillance and access control systems for the prosecutor attorney's office. Steve, are you the one that's going to talk about this? Or Jake Oaks is, right?
Yeah, I believe Jaco can talk to the contract, and then the budget amendment is, self-explanatory in connection with the contract that's before you for consideration. I believe there is a amendment. We sent over some language late this afternoon to Crystal to change the funding sources for this project.
I got that. I got the email anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So,
okay. Jake Oaks, are you there? Jake Oaks, you want to go ahead and talk? Is he here?
Yes, Commissioner.
Go ahead. Sorry, Jaco. Yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for getting this on the agenda so quickly.
You're welcome.
This request is to replace the surveillance and card access system in the prosecutor's office. During our investigation, it was determined that some of the equipment can be reused, which provided us about a $10,000 savings. The other equipment is not compatible with the county system and have to be replaced. We are asking for an amount of $58,120 that will be covered, like Steve said, with forfeiture funding sources. Thank you.
Okay. I do have Commissioner Drollet. Commissioner Drollet, would you like to say something? You got a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was my understanding that we were removing and replacing the system because it may be needed as evidence in the case involving the prosecutor. If we're able to reuse some of the system, does that mean those pieces are not needed as evidence?
Commissioner, I know that there was a walkthrough that took place about a week or two ago with MSP, and during that walkthrough, it was determined that some of that equipment is available for us to just reuse, and we don't have to actually remove the equipment from the premises.
So is the other parts of the equipment need to be removed because because they're needed as evidence, or do they need to be removed because they're incompatible with the rest of the county system?
I think it's mostly because it's incompatible with the county system.
Okay. And if I may, with another question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I doubt this question is for Jaco. It's perhaps for, I hope Mr. Delden or somebody is in the audience as well.
It looks like Mr. Delden is.
Okay, great. I don't know if he can answer, but the equipment that is in the prosecutor's office now, how many cameras are involved in that? Removing 2 cameras, 20 cameras, and how did it end up? How do we essentially, how many cameras are we talking about?
I can answer that question. We are installing 5 new cameras. We're replacing 2 cameras and also replacing 2 access controllers and equipment.
Okay, so there'll be a total of like 7 cameras then at that point?
It seems like a total of 7 cameras.
Okay, so was there at one point 20 cameras? Because I was informed that 20 cameras were purchased for those floors.
I am not aware of that, of how many cameras were purchased before. This is for this specific project, is the numbers that I just gave you.
Okay, thank you. Is Mr. Delden able to explain the 20 camera dilemma?
Commissioner Drolet, Mark Delden has identified in the chat that he's willing to speak. So if Mr. Delden, you're able to unmute yourself.
Mark,
Hello.
if you're there, go ahead.
Yes.
Unmute. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, and not to delay this, but John Shapka, Corporation Counsel, he is the one that has been the most involved with getting communicated from the Michigan State Police. And if Mr. Shapka, the county's Corporation Counsel, is here in the meeting, I would ask him to speak.
Thank you.
John, are you there?
I am here. I hope everyone can hear me.
Of course.
I can, so go ahead.
Okay, very good. The Michigan State Police have done walkthroughs of the prosecutor's 3 floors twice during the month of April. The first time they identified a lot of what they called computer equipment in the ceiling. Those are their words, not mine, that they were going to seize as evidence in an ongoing criminal investigation. I spoke with them myself personally after that visit for about 30 minutes, and they were very clear that the Weber security system that was installed was considered evidence and that they would take it. I explained that simply taking it would leave the entire facility, the 3 floors, unsecured, which would be disastrous, not only for the employees that work there, but also for the integrity of prosecution cases. And more importantly, the LEAN system, the Law Enforcement Information Network hookups, computers that they have there by statute must be maintained only in an absolutely secured facility closed to the general public. They agreed that they would give us some grace time to arrange for and get installed a replacement system. And it's my understanding that the Weber system will be taken out, and at the same time the new system will be put in place. This is not a removal because it's so much incompatible with the current county system as it is a removal because it is considered evidence. They were very clear that it was evidence in a continuing criminal investigation. They gave me no further details. We talked about time frames and for the grace period, and they would not commit to a number of days or weeks or months, but they spoke in terms of a few weeks. I think we're getting very close to the end of that few weeks.
Okay. John, do you know if the prosecutor had purchased 20 cameras initially for those 3 floors? And if so, why are we replacing only 7?
I I do know the answer to that question. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm free to discuss this in an open meeting because it is so intimately entwined with the investigation and some of the charges.
Can you answer whether or not funds were expended for 20 cameras?
That is precisely what I can't say. Getting into that kind of precise information.
Commissioner Drolet, point out that if at any point that you feel that you want to go into closed session, that's appropriate for a commissioner to motion a closed session to discuss any material you want to, just as Mr. Shapka is indicating, any information that closed session could not be discussed.
Yeah, I don't believe that it'd be appropriate to go to closed session. We're not involved in a lawsuit regarding this issue. I guess I was wondering, if we had 20 cameras installed and we're, proving 7 or a total of 7, why that disparity might occur.
First, I agree with Commissioner Drolet about going into a closed session. This wouldn't be appropriate topic under the Open Meetings Act for closed session. I think I am safe in saying the issue in the criminal investigation is not that equipment was purchased or the funds used to purchase it. It was the difference between what was purchased and what was actually installed.
So there may be a discrepancy between what was purchased on paper and what exists.
There may very well be that discrepancy, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate the answers. Thank you.
Hey, Rob.
Commissioner Romano, you're up.
Chair Myjack, can I interrupt for a second? We don't have a motion.
Chair Leonetti, I don't have a motion yet. I was going to let
a motion and support and then discuss all of this. That would probably.
Sure. I mean, this is just a move to full board. So if you want, I'll look for a motion to move this to full board.
Commissioner Romano, move it to full board.
Support?
And I have a question.
Commissioner Ducey, support.
Okay. So there's a motion to move this to full board. Let's go ahead and continue with discussion. Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. I guess this question would be for Jaco. Jaco, how long does it physically take for the installation of these cameras? Are we talking a week, 10 days? And let me follow it up with another question. Because of the situation we currently have with the virus and nobody having a full staff, there's probably very few people on those floors, but I'm sure that they need immediate security. So my question is, we're looking for something that is the urgency that needs to be done. And I guess my question is why, when in fact they're telling you, I want to know is how long does it take to install them cameras? Is it, I guess I'll leave that question to you. How long does it take to install these cameras physically?
We estimate after talking to the vendor about 2 weeks for us to install it.
So
after this has been approved, it'll take us about 2 weeks to get it done.
Okay, so 2 weeks to get it done. We're still on lockdown till the end of June. We don't know when they're going to take, when the state police are coming in. So I guess all of my questions are answered, and I guess the sooner the installations are put in, the better off, not only for the staff, but for everybody involved. Thank you, Jaco. Thank you, Chair. I'm done.
Okay. Commissioner Ducey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jaco, is the system as it's set up now, are we going to have to upgrade the system that's there now? Or is the system that's there now going to work with the cameras we're installing at the present time? Are we going to have to update any of this stuff once the state police take it out?
Yes, there's some of the equipment that can be reused, and that's mostly hardware in the doors and things like that we can reuse, and then some of the camera equipment, like I said earlier, is not compatible with the current county system, so that's the equipment that needs to be upgraded.
Okay, and where is, this is for Steve Smeagol. This was originally out of the forfeiture funds to upgrade all this. Steve, where's it coming from exactly now? The funding for all this?
Steve, are you there? You want
Excuse me, yeah, excuse me, I
Okay.
failed to unmute myself. Commissioner Duje, so 25% of the cost of this system will be funded through the prosecutor's federal forfeiture fund.
Okay.
So 25 federal, the other 75% will be funded through the local drug forfeiture fund.
Okay. Is there any expectation of getting funds from the state police or anybody else doing this investigation? And I don't know who to ask that one to.
I'm not aware of any such arrangement. I guess I would defer to John Chapka.
Yeah, Commissioner, the answer to that is a very quick and easy no.
All right.
They were very clear. The MSP, when I spoke to them last, were very clear that when this is all done, all said and done, any seized evidence would be returned to the county because one way or another it was paid for with county funds. Whether that would do us any good, whether we could ever incorporate it or integrate it into another system, the answer is probably not realistically.
All right. All right. That was my question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your answers, gentlemen.
Okay. Commissioner Kleinfeld. Veronica, you're up.
Commissioner Leonetti, Veronica it does seem like she's trying to join us. There may be a couple of maybe one the next person on the list.
Yep. Thank you. We'll do that. Commissioner Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I don't know if it was Jaco or John or Mark that indicated from a time constraint, we're at the tail end of the weeks that MSP had granted. So therefore, there is an urgency to this request. And the preference would be, even though we are on lockdown, forced to have these types of meetings, there are still employees going in and out of the building that are looking to have security. I can only imagine the liability if nothing is there and something happens within the building. So I think it was John that said, or Jaco, they had given us a couple weeks to replace this. We're at the tail end of the couple weeks. So I don't know where there's any option here right now. So that's my comment. Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. Commissioner Majek.
I hope you get Veronica back.
You know what? There she is. Veronica, you were ahead of Commissioner Majek. So if you'll yield, Mr. Majek, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Veronica. Go ahead.
Sure.
Veronica, if you're back, you're on.
Chair, that was a question that I posed to Mark Delden or Jaco on the time constraint of whether or not we are in fact at the tail end of it. So I would ask the deputy executive if he can answer that.
Sure. Okay. Well, we'll put Veronica on hold again. I don't know if she's even here. Go ahead, Mark. If you're there, go ahead and answer Commissioner Hawk's question.
Yes. Thank you. If you notice in your board packet, we are suggesting, it was the recommendation of our office to use the board established bypass procedure, waiting until the full board. And I'm not sure, I believe that your full board meeting is happening some days later after today. And for the reasons Commissioner Romano had mentioned about not very many people being in those floors right now, now is an ideal time to do this for a couple of reasons. There's nobody in the offices, and we don't know yet, based on the governor's direction, when we're ramping up again. But right now, there's very few people in the office, and we do understand that the contractor that we're recommending can mobilize very, very quickly, like the beginning of next week. So there is a sense of urgency, and it's the reason why we are suggesting using the board established bypass procedure. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Haw, is there any other questions you have? And she still had the floor.
No, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Kleinfeld, are you back?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead. You're on.
Oh my gosh, every time I press it, I get disconnected. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, we can. I can anyway.
Okay. Okay. The first
And we
question
can see you.
was, and I missed a lot because I kept getting kicked out of the meeting. So the fobs that are being done, are they going to be part of the existing system? Is it the same type of fobs?
Yes, that is the case. Yes.
Okay, and the change in funding, I wasn't sure about being able to use that kind of funding for things like fobs. Are you guys sure that that's okay, or would it be better to take it out of capital outlay now and check on it, make sure, and then transfer it over later?
Yeah, Commissioner Kleinfeld, a couple of issues there. A few weeks ago, myself and Jeannie Cloud and Jen Meach had a phone conversation with folks from the U.S. Department of Justice, and they indicated that a portion of the system could be paid for with the federal forfeiture money. So we're comfortable with that. And then in terms of taking the remaining 75% from the local drug forfeiture, I had contact with John Tapka's office. He reviewed state statutes regarding the drug forfeiture laws, and he's comfortable that we can use those monies to pay for the system as well.
Okay, and then my last question is it possible for us to provide the PPEs rather than paying for them, because we don't know what the markup is on that? We don't have a breakdown of that. And we've got a lot of PPEs.
If you're talking about the PPEs for the vendor and the cost of that, there's an amount, I think around about $1,800 in the quote for that purpose. That amount will only, it will not be the full $1,800. That is an amount that they gave us that would be the maximum amount, but they expect that to be much lower.
Well, there's the 1,800, and then later in the contract, I think there's another 300 or 400. But we don't know if they're doing a markup on PPEs, and we've been bringing them in and collecting them. So we may be in, if we provided the PPEs to them, then we wouldn't have to pay that part of the contract at all.
I understand that we can ask the vendor for that. I just don't know how that come into play when it comes to how we contract. This is new to all of us. So if we take on that responsibility to provide the PPEs, I don't know, from a legal standpoint and just in general how this would work. So I don't know if John Shepka would want to comment on that.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold it up over it, but if it's something you guys could look into before you start, that would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Majek.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I do support this motion. So just a question to, I guess, either Shapka or Schmiegel. So help me understand that the total cost for this is $58,120. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the state police needs what they need right now. They're going to take the system. We're going to implement a new system. And eventually, sometime, in the future, when the state police when they don't need that evidence anymore, that can be returned. And then, according to Shapka, most likely, we won't need that technology anymore, is my understanding. So I guess, it bothers me with this whole thing. I mean, here, a few years ago, we had to clean up the wrongdoings of Springer, how much money and time that cost the county. And now the former prosecutor, we got to clean up his wrongdoings. And the thing that I have a problem with is not voting for this motion for this system. We need that. But it's just after the fact, why isn't this $58,000 being paid for by the defendant? I mean, if he's proven guilty, can the county go after him for that money that would have went for these for this technology and system? So I'll leave it to you, Shapka.
Yeah, in a very highly theoretical sense, if there's a conviction and if there is an order for restitution, the county may have a way to at least try to seek repayment. As far as it goes for the security system, once all of these investigations and prosecutions are finished, the property would be returned to the county. At the very least, we'd put it up on the county's auction and recoup some of the money.
Right, but we're still out. You know, we're paying $58,000 for what the prosecutor did, and I look at that money as taxpayer dollars, whether it's from a forfeiture fund or another fund. Those are tax dollars, the people's money, and it just bothers me that the taxpayers have to pay for that and not the defendant. So I'll leave it at that. But again, I will support this motion, and good job for the county government making this happen and being on top of this. Thank you.
Chair Smith.
Thank you, Rob, Chair. So two things. I just want to point out and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Shapka. We're paying for this new system with the same funds that were used to pay for the other system, right? This has nothing to do necessarily with the cameras, but it's some other discrepancy in here. So the system's being paid for out of the same fund it was paid for originally.
I'm assuming that it was paid for with drug forfeiture money. It could have been paid for out of any of the other forfeiture funds.
Right.
But I think what the point you're trying to make, I think, is accurate. It's not what the money was spent on, which is legal. It's how the money was spent, which may or may not have been lawful. But that's a matter for the criminal courts to decide.
All right. Here's my only concern. I just want to point it out is that the state police walked through a couple times a month ago, started, and yet all of a sudden at the last minute we have to do a bypass and a no bid process to put in the new system. So my only concern is not doing what certainly not doing what the state police wants, but it's why I mean, is it May 14th and May 13th we got this recommendation, but they walked through in April and we didn't start a bid process to do this, and we're looking for a bypass even though we have a full board next week. So I'm just curious. Part of this is just to point it out to the commissioners that don't realize that we're asking for a no bid contract, and we're asking for it to be done. I mean, it was being asked for it to be done without the board even meeting. So I just wouldn't mind hearing why we're getting this at this moment and why we didn't instantly put in a bid procedure in place, and that would pretty much almost be done by. I don't know if it's for Steve or for Jaco or for John, but my big concern is why we're not doing the bid process as we normally do it.
If I can just, from my standpoint, explain why a bid couldn't be put into place right at that time by us, is there was a lot of homework that we needed to do to get the exact bill of materials, what need to be replaced, what's at stake here. That changed, quite a few times. We were not 100% sure what that's going to look like. We started working with a vendor to at least get quotes and things like that so we can understand that. But I think the last walkthrough, if I'm not mistaken, happened probably about the week before last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And that being said, Jaco, so you've known that to do something like this for quite some time. I mean, even letting the board know so that we can at least have some discussion about it would be, I think, the fair way to work with us, instead of requesting, and I'm not sure who requested it, so but instead of just requesting a bypass before we even really get a chance to discuss it. I'm glad we had a meeting today to start talking about this. And I would ask John, I mean, listen, I'm sure Motor City probably, they've done most of our work and they would probably get the bid anyway. But this case has been going on for over a year, and I don't know that there are any imminent cases or court dates coming up. So I would hope that you could ask them to say, listen, we just have to do a bid process. So we're doing this actually in the light of day, which is kind of what we're talking about in this whole case. But I would think that they would be at least, I mean, they're not dealing with anybody but you. I think that they would be at least amenable to wait for us to actually put a bid process together and put it out and get it done, knowing that in fact we were going to do it and save them some of their work of having to tear things out. So John, have you asked them about that? I mean, in that type of manner?
I believe I'm still unmuted. I hope so.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very good, very good. When I met with them, that was one of the issues that we did talk about. They asked what would be the delays encountered by the county in replacing the system. I described the competitive bidding, posting on Mitten, bid openings, bid award, then the contracting, formulating the contract, getting it on paper, submitting it all the way through the process. They asked how long does that take typically, and I was actually kind of proud that 4 to 6 weeks usually, and they indicated that was not going to be acceptable to them.
I'm sorry, you broke up right when you said they indicated.
Yeah, they indicated that would not be acceptable.
Okay.
They're the Michigan State Police. They know how government operates and how things get slowed when they go through a series of inboxes and outboxes, and they were not willing to entertain that kind of delay.
Okay, those were my questions. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Kraft, you can go ahead.
Demeaning.
Chair Leonetti, I'd like to allow Mr. Delden to speak. I know he's been in the chat box waiting, so I'll defer to him and then I'll ask my question.
You got it. Didn't see him.
I don't want to necessarily reiterate what both Jaco and John Shapka had said, but Commissioner Smith, I find it troubling that you, being the biggest advocate of us using the board bypass procedure when necessary, now finds fault with it. This is not a no bid contract. We went to the same contractor that the Board of Commissioners approved to have the video surveillance system installed in the downtown buildings because it made most sense because they're familiar with the layout of the system. We are bringing this $58,000 expense for all the reasons that Corporation Counsel Shapka brings to you right now. And I take offense to the fact that you are viewing this as a no bid contract, as if the executive's office or their administration is doing something that isn't appropriate when you have been a big advocate of using the bypass procedure. So I just wanted to put that on the record because it is not, you're trying to make it something that it isn't. Thank you.
Okay, well, since that comment was for me, Rob, then I will still hold the floor if you don't mind. And of course, I'm sure no one else saw it as I have a problem with the bypass, Executive Delden, because we do that all the time. My question was, is it necessary, and did you talk? And simply asking questions does not constitute having a problem with things. So I hope that you understand that anytime we ask questions, actually I got satisfactory answers from your questions, which moved me forward in a way that I thought was fine. So I hope that you don't think that our bypass problem or process is a problem, but we certainly should be able to ask questions as to the reasons behind it so that we feel more comfortable doing this. And that's really, I think, the job that we have here, why we have open meetings, is to ask these questions like this. So again, I have no problem with it. And I understand Motor City Electric has done most of this work. And that's probably who would have got the contract anyway, which is actually what I said. And when I say no bid, it means it just doesn't go out to the competitive bidding process. So I'm sorry if you feel offended by that, but it certainly wasn't meant to be offensive asking questions on this process.
Chair Leonetti, if I can just respond.
Very short, very short.
Very, very short. Commissioner Smith, the county wanted Motor City Electric to install video surveillance systems within the office suites of floors 3, 4, and 5 in the administration building. The prosecutor would not permit us to install the same system that was going in every other floor in that downtown campus in those 3 buildings. We were shut out. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Again, irrelevant.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Let's move on here. Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the Executive's Office, Corp Counsel, IT. Who am I missing? The only department we haven't heard from, Finance, is the Prosecutor's Office. I'd kind of like to get their take on all of this. I honestly haven't had a chance to look at all of the updates that were presented to us so near to our meeting. So I'm just going to be fully transparent in saying that I'm going to be voting no, just because I haven't had a chance to go through everything yet. But I would like to hear from the Prosecutor's Office on this issue. If they're on.
That's fine. That was going to be my question, so I'll remove myself from the list. Jeannie, are you there?
I am here. Can everybody hear me?
We can. Go ahead. Good to see you.
Hi, good to see you too. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jean Cloud. I was the chief trial attorney, or well, still am the chief trial attorney in the prosecutor's office. I've been here for 20 years. At this point in time, due to the statement of appointments, I am the acting prosecutor. So I have been making day-to-day operations decisions with the help of a team of people. And it's our position at this point in time that this security system is a necessity by law. It's federally mandated that when we have the LEAN system, which is the Law Enforcement Information Network, that when we have anybody who has access to those criminal history and whatnot, it is federally mandated that we have a locked facility, that there is postings that it is locked, that everybody that is in this office has to both go through a security training as well as be fingerprinted and background checked. And any individual, and this is by issue of federal law as well as that's been handed down to the states for state law, any individual that enters into this office has to be escorted if they have not been background checked, fingerprinted, as well as have gone through that security training. So we're not only dealing with mandates required by law that we have that security system, but it's also for the safety and well-being of all of the employees here. And I can't tell you how many times that we've had through our federal division that does, excuse me, the paternity cases, that we've had disruptions where security was required to be, gotten and had to remove people. We've had threats on, several different people's lives here. So the security is paramount here. And I know that moving forward, that's my concern as well as everybody in this office. And we're in a position that we have a real problem with a security system that presently that is not monitored by the county, that the head of the security firm is now charged by the Attorney General's office. So if we have security issues, we can't bring that person in here to maintain a security system. So, and part of that security system now is evidence in an ongoing investigation. So we're in a position that we have to, in order to operate as a prosecutor's office, have these security systems by law. So really it's our concern to move forward on this. And part of the discussion too was to use the funding source with the IT capital budget. And it was discussed that the forfeiture funds should be the proper funding source, because we're just trying to move forward, go through this process, have the transparency that the office needs in moving forward, and to put the system in where the county can monitor it and it can be all part of the county system.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Commissioner Kraft, any other questions?
Just one more question, because again, I didn't have time to read all of the materials, but if this system is put in place, will there be cameras covering everywhere? Will there be any, office that doesn't have coverage?
If I can answer that question, what he covers, there was a walkthrough that were done by IT as well as the prosecutor's office. And throughout that building, the surveillance cameras covers the public areas. So those areas are all covered according to the same standard that we used on the other floors. I am not sure about offices. Maybe the prosecutors can speak about that.
So if I can address the, I know that the security system is for the external only. We do not have any internal cameras within the prosecutor's office or within any common areas inside.
Okay. Thank you both. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Commissioner Drollet on the second round.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I removed that request. My questions were answered by others.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions on this issue? We have a motion to move it to full board. Please vote.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I could, if we're moving it to full board, does that mean we are not utilizing the bypass system?
I don't believe we are. Keep in mind, I don't know, this was requested, I think, in a meeting that was earlier this week. I don't know if it got in on time, and somebody asked me to put it on the agenda, and it was put on the agenda for this. And as I often do, I let everybody have their say on this committee. So at this point, it just came on as a regular agenda item, but it'll be a week. I think it'll be a week before we're at full board.
Hey, Rob.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Andre?
Well, I apologize, Commissioner Leonetti. We may have muted Andre. He may need a second here to unmute.
Sure.
But I think Commissioner.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Andre.
Thank you. Moving this to full board, first of all, it takes out the bypass system. The second place, does that mean that nobody can do anything for at least a week until full board? If we're going bypass, can this get done ASAP? Because by the sound of it, this needs to be in place ASAP. And after everything's said and done, if the prosecuting department says that they have to have this in and so on, does a week, I think a week puts us behind the 8 ball. And moving it to full board and finally blessing it there cost us a week.
Well, let me ask you something. Let me ask
Commissioner Leonetti.
Go ahead, Chair.
Sorry, I couldn't get to you on the screen. I have the voting icon on here. I will say that the one thing we wanted to make sure of is that since we had a meeting today, and this was brought to us yesterday, that this was at least going to be vetted at this meeting right here. I would say moving it, if everyone votes to move it to full board, or someone wants to amend the agenda to approve it, however it works. If Jaco tells us that this is that obviously if we move it to full board, 99.9% chance it's going to pass at full board. Can things get moving on it till then? Or nonetheless, obviously the people signing on it feel a lot better about having everybody look at it, vote on it to move forward, and the bypass project is still obviously in play in a situation like this. So, Jaco, if you don't mind, is there anything that can be done, or does it have to be approved either at the full board or bypass?
Commissioner, we would appreciate it if this can be approved, or at least give us the permission to move forward so we can engage the vendor. You can understand under the COVID-19 times, it's difficult for these vendors as well to ramp up and do work. They have to make sure, obviously, that they abide by all the rules and regulations. So we would like to get going with this as soon as possible.
All right. So Pete Webster or John, I will go to Pete. Here's the deal. Again, everything seems to fall on my committee. This thing, as Chair Smith said, was brought up yesterday, and my committee was the next one in line. And as usual, I get all the fun stuff. Pete, if you're there, can an amendment be made to just make this a bypass?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we sure can.
All right. So there would have to be an amendment to the current motion that's on the table, and that motion is corresponds with the recommendation sheet, and that the motion could be made to avail of the bypass procedure to authorize execution of contracts to move forward.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Is there any commissioner out there that would like to make
Mr.
such
Chair,
a...
I will make that motion.
Okay,
Mr. Drollet.
Commissioner Drollet, supported by...
Mr. Chair, I'll support it. This is Doozy.
Okay, so supported by Duje. So we have the motion is amended. So correct me if I'm wrong. We have to vote on the amendment first. Is that correct, Mike?
You can. Yep, that's definitely one way to go about it.
Let's vote on the amendment. The amendment is to go ahead and utilize the bypass procedure. So if you support this amendment, you're going to vote yes. Go ahead, Mike.
Commissioner Leonetti, you do have Commissioner Kleinfeld on the list to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That
Veronica,
amendment.
I apologize. Go ahead. Go ahead, Veronica.
That's okay. I was gonna make an amendment. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else want to discuss the amendment? Okay. All right. So we have a motion. You're going to vote yes if you support the amendment.
Commissioner Leonetti, that vote has been prompted. Commissioners are voting now. Commissioners may see that it says records and public safety just as normal when we have a vote that is not expected. So if you could go ahead and vote, I'll announce that. It looks like the motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Kraft voting no.
Okay. So that was on the amendment. So now I guess we have to go ahead and vote on the whole motion?
Correct.
Okay. So now we're going to vote on the amended motion. Yes, to bypass and get them on their way working.
Correct.
Yep.
And that motion was made by Commissioner Romano and supported by Commissioner Duje.
That is correct.
It looks like that motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Kraft voting no.
Okay. All right. And I'm glad that, I guess I'm glad it fell on my committee like all these things do. So we had an opportunity to talk about it. And I'm glad we were able to move it forward this week. So we'll move on now to the next item on the agenda, which is the financing part of it. Hopefully there's not too many questions because I think we covered a lot of that, but that would be 5B.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve item 5B.
That would be Duje, support.
Sauger supports.
Sauger by support. Any discussion? Let me see if I see anybody. Any discussion on this? No? Okay. Then we have a motion on the table. It's been supported.
Chair?
Let's vote. Yes, go ahead, Veronica.
I did have my name down. My question isn't relative to this. I have to leave to go to a NACO meeting. So I was wondering in between agenda items, if you'd give me the latitude to do my new business because I have another meeting coming. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So my meeting ends after this. So
Okay.
All right. You got it. All right. We got a motion on the table for item 5B. Go ahead and vote.
Well, I'll just say that I was wearing my Mac hat, Commissioner Kleinfeld, but that motion passed 11-1 with Commissioner Kraft voting no.
Okay, now look, I'm gonna turn this over to Don, but Don, do you want to go ahead and let Veronica discuss what she needs to before you begin, Don?
Okay, very good.
All right, so go ahead. I'm gonna sign out. Don, you take over. Go ahead, Veronica.
Thank you very much. I just have three quick things. NACO does a profile of a commissioner every month in their magazine. Just want to let you guys know that the upcoming edition will be profiling me. It's just a quick thing, but keep your eyes open for that. Yo and Yo responded to our resolution. I have forwarded that to Patty. She's going to be sending it on to you and we'll do a receive and file on that. And at that time, I'll let you know what my response to them was. And that's it. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Item 6 is a census update. Is there anyone who's going to present the update?
Yeah, hi, this is Ernest Colby from Macomb Community Action. Is my mic and video live?
Very good. Continue.
Great. I'm going to present. Let me know if you can see the tab I'm presenting here. I'm going to share with you the County of Macomb Census website. Let me know if you all are seeing that map right now.
I'm not able to see it, but you can continue.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, it should load for each of you at a different rate there. We just want to make sure we keep the Board of Commissioners apprised of our great efforts for the Count on Macomb Census 2020 initiative. You should know that right now, Michigan is 4th in the nation for census response rate. So the overall country is at 59%, and Michigan is at 65.8%. Within Michigan, which is number 4 in the nation, Macomb County is number 2 at 76.8%. Last week, we had one of our milestones, which is we passed our 2010 final census numbers. In 2010, the final census count for Macomb was 75.4%, and now we are already at 76.8% in Macomb. So we've passed that milestone. We're on track to clearly exceed our 2010 decennial census numbers, and we have a great path forward. So I want to thank all the commissioners for their work. All of the county departments, especially the Planning and Economic Development Department, have really helped us hold a full court press, along with all of the municipalities across Macomb. You may note we have been doing those census drive-through picnics. The reason we called them a drive-through picnic is originally we had planned a series of picnics around Macomb County, and due to the coronavirus crisis, we had to reschedule those and now can no longer do those in-person events. So we've done a great thing and transitioned those to a drive-through picnic, which allows a local restaurant or catering company or vendor to receive some business. It allows local residents to receive some food, and we've started to do those across the county. If you can see the map that I have right now in front of you, this is a map showing all of the response rates in Macomb. So you'll notice outside of Mount Clemens in Clinton Township, there are some of those red areas, along with Utica, Warren, and Centerline. Those are the areas with historically low census response rates as well. So the county has a range of digital and print advertising going out, and we're targeting specific media for those red census tracts. I'm going to zoom in here and see if this webpage tracks on your screen. If it does, I've just zoomed into Warren, and you should be seeing a closer view of those census tracts. What I want to highlight for you here is that the county has specific digital outreach occurring for any census tract that is in red. So within Warren, if you're in one of these census tracts that is red, and you're browsing on YouTube, you're browsing on Google, you'll see some advertising that nobody else in the county is seeing. So we're very specifically targeting our digital media dollars to make sure that those areas that have a low response rate are seeing more Count on Macomb Census 2020 efforts online, whether they're browsing video online, looking up internet radio, whatever they're doing online, they'll be seeing some of those digital media advertisements. The second thing I just wanted to highlight with you is that we have additional efforts planned because the census has extended the deadline for the census itself. It has been extended all the way through October, which allows us to extend our timeline. Historically, we had to end our spending in June, and we were planning to end it in July this year. Now we're able to extend that to make sure that we're as responsive as we can be to spend dollars in areas that are lagging behind in Macomb. So we're planning outreach with the city of Warren. We're planning it in East Point. We're planning it with Mount Clemens, as well as Clinton Township. And what you'll see on this map, if you notice those green areas, let me zoom in again and see if that tracks for you. I'm going to zoom in down into Warren here. And you can see those 3 green areas. Those are mobile home communities. One of the things we found is that mobile home communities specifically have a lower than average rate for the census response. And so we're doing additional outreach for those mobile home communities, making sure, number one, that it's walkable. Oftentimes in the mobile home communities, there may be one car shared among a household, and they may have multiple family members working different shifts. So that car might be used for one family member for a second shift or a third shift at work, and during the day it might be used for another family member. So we know that transportation and access is a barrier for some residents in mobile home communities to participate. and we want to offer something beyond just the drive-through census picnic. So we're looking at specific events at the municipal parks that are walkable for those mobile home communities. And in addition to the food handouts with a local restaurant or catering company, we're also looking at gathering hygiene packs and home good packs, where we'll offer a bag full of home goods, such as toilet paper and soap, laundry soap, some other home goods that we think are valuable. We're also working with the regional Macomb Census Field Office to have computers on site so that people could fill out the census right there. And we'll be offering special gift cards just for those people that fill it out there. And we'll have that staffed by the census staff following social distancing measures and having the necessary sanitary supplies to make sure all of those stations are hygienic in between use. So I just wanted to highlight for you, first of all, that we are in number 4 in the whole country, and Macomb is number 2 in the state. So we're in really great position leading the pack, and we're not stopping yet. We have a range of events planned, and we want to also offer to any commissioners to get involved with these events in your local district and help us do additional promotion to help keep Macomb ahead of the pack in Michigan and to help keep Michigan ahead of the pack in the country. Happy to take any specific questions you might have about our efforts, our strategy, and what we have planned in the coming months.
I don't have any commissioners on the list. Does anyone want to speak that didn't put themselves on the list? Saying none, thank you very much for the update. We'll keep us posted, and we'll look forward to a big number when this is all said and done.
That's right. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Need a motion to receive and file a report.
Motion to receive and file.
Receive and file.
Support by Sauger.
Thank you very much. Please vote.
Mr. Chair, Drollet votes aye. Unable to reach my computer at the moment.
Thank you very much.
All votes aye as well. Mine went out too.
Not a problem.
Very good.
We're able to record that, and it looks like that motion passes unanimously, Chair.
Thank you. Item item 7.
We're going to be moving on to item 7A, Commissioner Brown. It'll be the resolution for declaring the first Friday in June to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve both resolutions. Support by Sauger.
I'm going to take those resolutions. I'm going to take those resolutions individually. You want to move 7A first, please?
Yep, I have Commissioner Duje and Commissioner Sauger moving the first resolution, if that's okay with those commissioners.
Yep.
All right.
And then if you'd like to allow any discussion, Commissioner Brown, I don't, so far we don't have any commissioners signed up to speak.
There's been a motion made.
Chair Brown?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, it didn't allow me to, now it did, to put my name in. I'm sorry, I tried earlier. I just want to speak.
Okay, there you are, Bob.
All right, thanks, Don. I just want to speak real quickly to the First Amendment or resolution. We actually did this last year as a board, and it was voted on 13-0. And I think the reason is this really isn't intending to inflict any opinion on the Second Amendment or gun ownership or anything. It's really trying to focus on the victims of gun violence. And as far as I see it, the awareness that it really does happen and the proper safety procedures and, just keeping the guns out of the wrong hands. I mean, like, your kids and things like that. So I just want to, actually, I'm sure, I don't know if everyone remembers, but we did have this last year. It was a 13-0, and it was a vote that had no Second Amendment implications, as far as I'm concerned anyway. So thank you.
Okay, roger that. No other speakers. Please vote.
Mr. Chair, Drollet votes aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Drollet. Looks like that motion passes unanimously, Commissioner Brown.
Thank you very much. Next item is 7B. I need a motion to support 7B. Or to move the 7B.
Commissioner Romano supporting it to move forward.
Commissioner Hall seconds.
Anyone want to oppose that? All right, please vote.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I can't access who put in this resolution. Could you or somebody advise me?
I'm not sure where this thing came from. Probably Mac. I'm sure. I think this came from Mac.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, this came out of MAC, and if I'm not mistaken, it came out of the Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
thank
offered
you.
on her behalf.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Chair.
No problem. Any other discussion on this item?
Just very quickly, Commissioner. I'm sorry to interrupt, Commissioner Brown, but we have had trouble with Commissioner Drolet voting, and I just want to confirm if he wanted to vote yes or no.
Yes, I'd like to vote yes, please.
Thank you. I apologize about that. We're
Thank
all
you.
set. That vote passes.
But that's no mistake, Commissioner Gillette.
That vote passes 11-1 with Commissioner Brown voting no.
That's not correct.
Okay, I can correct the record there, Commissioner Brown, and make that unanimous.
There you go. I've been switching between screens. I must have punched the wrong number. Okay.
Not a problem.
Very good. That motion passes. Next item is...
Sauger's got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Eve Culch is supposed to retire hopefully this June, but because of this virus, they're trying to talk her out of it and hang on till the virus is ended. So we can still get the resolution made up, but I got to wait for a date. But,
okay.
But thank you for putting it on, and thank you for supporting it.
All right. Well, we're not. You want us to go ahead and pass it now, Commissioner, or would you like us to wait?
Yeah, pass it, and then we'll just get the dates for her.
Okay. Motion's made by Commissioner Sauger, supported by Commissioner Duje. All those in favor, please vote. And Proclamation 8A.
Drolet votes aye.
Oh,
Very
that's
good.
wonderful.
Thank you. Item 9 is new business. Any new business that come before the committee? Any new
Mr. Chairman.
business? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, this is Andre Duzy calling.
Go ahead, Andre.
Something I don't know why I've gotten over 20, possibly 25 emails regarding the RV parks and campgrounds that are essential to everybody's mental health, apparently. And I don't know why I'm getting all this. I don't know if anybody else has gotten this. This is a
I've gotten the same, Commissioner.
This is a
somehow
state pro. Do you know why we're
Andre,
getting it?
we all got it, Andre.
Why are we getting it?
Because someone doesn't know what they're doing.
Information, Andre.
They want us to contact the governor.
Can we forward this to our representatives and be done with it?
That's what I told them to do.
All right.
That's exactly what I did, Andre.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't the only one on this RV list. Thank
You're
you.
not alone, Andre. The campground folks are Big Ten people.
There you go. We're not going to go
Very
down
good.
that road. Talk to you later. Bye.
Commissioner Haw, did you wish to speak? You were on the list, and I don't see you now.
No, Chairman, I withdrew. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. Am I up?
Yes, you are, sir. Go ahead.
Just recently we had this bypass, and I'm sure everyone like myself gets a lot of emails every day. I think it would behoove commissioners to, prior to the meeting that day, when Crystal sends out stuff that just comes up for that meeting or agenda items and she adds to it, it seems that some commissioners, not pointing fingers at anybody, I'm probably at fault myself, do not read those emails that come before the meetings, and as a result, they're asking questions that have already been answered. It would sure save a lot of time if the commissioners had the opportunity the day of the meeting to go back to what emails Crystal has sent, or Patty, or the administration, and look to see what's going on the agenda that has been changed and the answers to some of the questions that they may have that can be eliminated by a simple phone call, just as I did today to Crystal. Just a FYI for everybody involved. Thank you.
Yeah, I understand that, Commissioner Romano. That's true. That's why we normally have a policy putting things on the agenda 7 days in advance, so that we've got plenty of time to review the information. And occasionally, though, things like this come through that require special circumstance, and sometimes we catch it, sometimes we don't. But good advice. Anyone? I don't see anyone else under new business. Anybody else? One last time. Seeing no one, we'll go to public participation. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Anyone, please unmute yourself. *6 to unmute yourself if you're on the line. I don't hear anybody. Anyone online? Anyone on the? Is there anyone else, staff, in the queue to speak?
This is Pam Lideline again.
Okay, go ahead, Pam.
I just
state your name and then for the record again, the address, and you have 5 minutes.
Pam Lideline, 17961 Birch Drive, Macomb Township. I just want to thank the Macomb County Board of Commissioners for your support of the Wear Orange Day, and hope you remember to wear orange on June 5th. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Me.
Go ahead. Yeah, state your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes.
Carmi Finn, Warren, Michigan, and Pam's buddy. Every time she talks, I talk. I just want to repeat what she said. Ditto. Thank you so much. We appreciate it, and it matters. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for making the time to join us today. Anyone else under public participation? Anybody else under public participation? One last time. Anyone for public participation? Saying none, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Drolette.
Support duty.
Very good. Please vote.
Drolette votes aye.
The motion passed unanimously. Thank you, commissioners. Have a good afternoon.
Be safe, Chairman.